Out of pocket, what I need to pay is the electrical, the plumbing, the front step, the back step, getting the skirting under the mobile home. All in, that cost me about $6,000. I had 4 to start with. I only spent 2 out of my pocket. Merry Christmas, daughter. Got the mobile home sold for her for $23,000 cash.
What's up, Forte community? This your girl G. Coleman, CEO and founder of Brown Skin Girl, located in Waldorf, Maryland, and Dallas, Texas.
How do you like your grits?
Sugar. You put sugar in your grits.
You put sugar. We starting off the podcast line. That's what.
So my plaque, I got a Beyonce plaque. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we had two number ones, right? But then the other plaque I got is for Lil Nas X. So you know Lil Nas X. I'll show it to you.
What's up, world? This is your favorite chef. Chef X is in the build. I've worked with some of the most amazing talents in the world, from Cardi B, Offset, Negative Style, Your Money Bag, Eddie Murphy, you name it, I've done it. And I just want to say shout out to the Forte Podcast.
The types of assets that I purchase are multifamily apartment buildings, right? So I'm typically looking at buildings, complexes that are 100 units or more. The largest that I've ever been a part of is right at 300 units.
Come on. Anything you do that's worth succeeding, you always got to take a step down to go up. Mm-hmm. Even if you're going to go win the lottery, you got to take a deficit of $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, however much you spend it on a lottery. So your bank account takes a deduction before you shoot up. So before you shoot up to $20, $30 million, your bank account needs to take a deficit, whether it's gas to go to these meetup.com locations, whether it's to go put on a suit or buy a suit if you don't have a suit, to be able to be presentable in circles, right? Or to get a laptop or to get a printer. Like, it's always going to be deduction before you see a production.
I want you to know that if you have a desire to be great, yes, the greatest among you is a servant.
I'm Bo Wheeler, owner of Arthur Wheeler Experience Company, and y'all are tuned in to the Forte Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Forte Podcast. I'm your co-host, Dominic Epps.
And I'm your co-host, Randall Sten.
And we are here to dive into your lane of greatness to discover what comes easy for you that may not be easy for all of us.
Everyone's a genius, from the 9-to-5 employee to the Fortune 500 billionaire. We're here to highlight those attributes through dialogues and interviews with what?
Amazing guest. But I got one question for you.
What's that, bro?
What's your forte? What's going on? We here. Listen, I'm live, still live on the set, right? Little Washington, North Carolina, in this property, trying to get it done, right? So I gotta get back home to the fam, man. So your boy been getting those flight miles, or whatever you call it, and
flyer miles.
Street. But Randall, what's been going on, man? How was your day, bro?
It was good. Hey, man, you about to start seeing some strong Forte content come out the woodworks. Right?
Ooh, talk to me. Talk to us. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Finally pulled the string to hire a VA, so they're gonna help assist us. As you know, Dom's social media person, right? He's big on posting. I'm kind of lackluster, but we're both individually in our own right, doing our own thing, and it gets busy at times to try to keep on putting content out there. So sometimes it's better to do less to be able to do more. So we've hired a VA, and I'm looking forward to see what they put out there, right? But just know it's about to be an annoying amount of content coming your way. So you're gonna see Forte everywhere, for real.
Did you say? Come on, man. Is it like that?
What?
Is it gonna be? It's gonna be so much content.
It's gonna be every day. Every day we're coming up with something.
Well, look, man. Here's the thing, right? So I'm live on the set on a construction site, right? Rehab property, and tonight, for our second episode of tonight, we have Class A contractor. He's doing big business, y'all. I aspire to be where he's at, honestly, to get on his level one day. And it's going to happen for sure, because he's going to help me get there. But I want to bring to the Forte Podcast the one and only Andre Payne is in the house. Y'all make some noise for him because he's here.
Yes, sir. I love it.
He's here, ATL. He's in the house. He's in the house.
Let's go, baby.
Hey, man, Dre, we're so glad you're here, man. And here's what we want to do. We definitely want to get into your story, but we want to start off with, I think I kind of told everybody, but what's your forte? What is it that you do, man? And talk to us about just a little bit about your business, what you got going on.
Well, ultimately, man, that's a good question. My forte is primarily I'm dual faceted, right? I do a lot of real estate, but primarily, man, I was just a contractor. I do a lot of commercial and residential construction, and then I kind of parlay that into a real estate development career.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, Randall, what you got for him?
So we like to start off with what's your forte and then kind of bring it back, right? So kind of talk to us about your childhood, your upbringing, and we want to kind of give people, the listeners, the viewers, kind of like a roadmap to how you got here today as a contractor slash real estate investor. So what was your upbringing like? Were you always from Atlanta? Like, were you born and raised in Atlanta? And kind of walk us through that.
No, I definitely wasn't, man. As you can see, man, I got this Flyers hat on. I'm from Philly, brother. I'm from Philly. So it's funny that we're talking about this because I just never seen myself here. I've always wanted to do some real estate, some form of real estate. I've always been great at math, but never seen myself here. And so, growing up, born and raised in Philadelphia, I ended up moving to Chicago, and being in Chicago. It's the same kind of city as Philadelphia, man. It's hard nosed, it's thorough people. It's just one of those things. And just growing up, I'm pretty sure you guys grew up in the same environments, but just growing up in the hood and just seeing some different things, seeing abandoned buildings around me, not knowing how to get access to that. But long story short, I ended up getting into some trouble, man. I ended up getting caught with some marijuana and caught a case. And when I got into the jail system, I never done any prison time, but I was locked up for a little bit. They actually introduced construction to me. It was a lady that came into the jail. She was a carpenter by trade, and she came in and said, "Hey, look, I got this opportunity for people that want to do a carpentry apprenticeship, and who wants to do it?" And I was one of the first to raise my hand. I was like, "Man, this seems like a good opportunity." At the time, I had just dropped out of college. I just had a baby, and so I was just trying to figure my life out. And I was working, but the job wasn't enough. I was probably making, I think, $12 an hour at the time, working at a hospital. And then I got caught up into something. But when she came in there, man, that really lit a fire up under me. And so start doing that. I worked with her just pretty much for free, just kind of learning, right? And she was just teaching us a lot of stuff. And her name was Darlene. I was like, "Look, Darlene, this ain't paying the bills right now. Like, what's going on?" And so she talked me into it. She said, "Look, just stick with it. And so if I can find, I stayed in touch with her for a while, but if I can find her today, I would thank her for that opportunity. Because
so Darlene, if you're watching the Forte Podcast,
for sure,
they want to say thank you, and we want to say thank you for giving them that opportunity. Sure. But you said something, man, and I want to point out real quick, right? You talked about how you were in jail, so you was in a very uncomfortable situation, right? Due to a decision that you made, right? But an opportunity came, and I'm just curious, man, how many people took advantage of the opportunity? Like, when she mentioned it, like, do you recall like a lot of guys being like throwing their hands up, like, "Yo, I'm with it," or were you like an outlier?
It was a handful of us, but I don't think anybody else really stuck with it. I mean, at least that I know of. It was a handful of us, and I think people just seen it as an opportunity or something to do. But for me, it's a little different. When I find something that I love to do, or when I find something that I think or know that I can monetize, I'm gonna run with it, and I'm just thorough like that. So if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna just do it right, and I'm gonna follow it all the way through. So I don't think anybody else really kind of stuck with it that I know of. They probably stuck with it for a little bit. Yeah. But I got involved. I really liked what I was doing. And then I just took it and kind of ran with it. And I just continue to enhance my growth on construction, right? And just knowing the knowledge of it. And I was like, man, when I got into it, it was so amazing to me because it was just so broad. Construction is so broad. It runs so deep, man. I mean,
for sure.
You know what I mean? You know, so, and then I had the opportunity to just have ample enough experience, and people that I was trained under didn't really have any problem with showing me. Like, I mean, we're using this word now, gatekeep, but they just didn't gatekeep, man, at all. They gave me the game. They gave me some opportunity, and I took that experience and just kind of ran with it.
That's dope, Andre,
man. Yeah, real quick. So you also said Darlene, she kind of said stick with it. So you did internship for a little bit for free. You approached her and said, hey, I need some money, right? So she said stick with it, right? What was from the time that you started in this internship to when you started making money? Like how long of a gap that is?
If I had to quantify, I would say about a year, because knowing that she, you know, I wanted to make money. So what she started to do was, she had her own business, and so she started to pick up more contracts. She was kind of semi-retired at the point, but she started to pick up her own contracts, and then, you know, she was paying me a couple dollars. So she did that until I actually got into the apprenticeship. Once I got into the apprenticeship program, it was a unionized program, right? And so if you guys know, I'm pretty sure you do, but being in the northern states, it's really, really hard to get into those unions. And so she had it in. And getting into those unions, they did like a pre-apprentice program for 8 weeks where they gave you a stipend. I mean, it wasn't much. It was like literally get a meal, pay for some gas. I think it was $100 a week, if that. And then after the 8 weeks, they put you right to work. Like they signed you up with a company, a construction company, and then right out the gate, they started you out at $14 an hour as a first year apprentice with no knowledge of anything. I think I was 20, 21 at the time when I started that, and so at that point that was some decent money. I had never made that much in my life as far as an hourly pay, and I took it and just ran with the opportunity.
Yeah, but you mentioned that you had a child at this time, right? So
I did.
Yeah. So how was it with, you know, here you are with a young child, right? And you're basically trying to find your way, but you're doing something legal because you tried the illegal way, right? And saw what that got you. So now you had this opportunity, you start interning. Man, you said something I want our listeners to really understand. You talked about working for free, right? And you know, I shared the story with a couple of my guys the other day about Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he talked about in the book, you know, Robert Kiyosaki talked about in the book about his rich dad's, you know, basically when his poor dad said to him, hey, you need to go ask for a raise, right? And the response from his rich dad was, all right, now you're gonna work for free. I'm not gonna pay you anything, right? But the knowledge and the information that he obtained is what allowed him to, you know, do what he's doing, right? So for you, here you were being an intern, you're learning, then you go to the apprenticeship, right? I'm just curious, man, what was your homeboys? What was everybody saying? You know, like what were people around you saying when you were doing this, but not really making the money that you really needed to make to really provide for a family?
Well, to be honest with you, I've I still got the same friends. And I've always had some great friends around me, so that was a plus, right? They've always cheered me along. They've always been behind me. They've always told me when I was doing dumb stuff, and so I think you need those that you need that circle around you, to pull your coattail when you're not doing anything right. And so I have friends that was in college. They was doing, I guess doing the right thing in a sense. And they always cheered me along. And so when I got involved, they was like, man, that's great. And then, as things progress, they seen the hard work and stuff that I put in. And they cheered me along, all the way along, man.
That's dope.
I mean, to this day, they still cheer me along and helping me out. And, we have talks and all that good stuff. So that was the real key is the people that I was surrounded around. I didn't really have too many bad influences. It was like, oh, come over here and do this. It was like, nah, you're doing the right thing. Keep doing your thing. I'm proud of you. So that helped a whole lot.
That's good, man. Yeah, that's good.
This apprenticeship, how long was the apprenticeship?
Well, the apprenticeship lasted 5 years in total. But every year you would get a raise, right? And so first year, like I explained before, coming in with no experience, $14 an hour. By the time I made it to my second year, I think I was at like 18. And then third year was like 21, 23 or something like that. But, each year you got a raise. So you would go back to school, right? Learn the bookwork for like a week. And then most of your time was what they call OJT, on the job training. And, again, that taught me a whole lot, because I think that's the biggest part of the experience, is that you got to get your hands dirty. You gotta get involved. You gotta get out there and just work.
Say it again. Say it again for the people in the back, man. Let them hear that, man. You got
to get out there and work, man. You got to get out there and get dirty, man. It just, I call it, real estate and construction is a contact sport. There's no way you're gonna learn it without being involved, man. Hands on. No matter how you want to look at it. You got. I mean, I see you over there, man. You got paint everywhere. Your construction gear, and you still getting it in, man. I love it.
Just for show. And this ain't just for show.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
That's good, man. So let's talk about, how long did it take for you to branch out, and to get into doing your own properties, man? Because I definitely want to talk about, these $1 million homes you're building in Atlanta, right? I want to talk about, these apartments you're building. Like, you're doing some big things, right? And it's dope, for you to be, an African-American man, young brother, from the projects, right? But who's doing some amazing things, man. And, one that's sought after in regards in this development game, right? But to talk about your first transaction, like, how was your first construction project that you actually did for yourself? Talk about that.
Oh man, I look back and laugh at that right now. I actually did my wife's. I did her aunt's kitchen, and I did a floor, and just, I'm thinking about the money I charged her for one, and she really didn't have the money, and she paid me on a payment plan. I think I charged her like maybe $600 to do a kitchen floor, and she paid me over like a span of like 8 months. But I'm just looking back and laughing, and looking at the work that I actually did. But it taught me something. It taught me to be independent. It taught me to be on my own. It taught me that it is possible to do it. And so that was, to be honest with you, that was my main goal, right? The first thing I said was, I want to do this because I want to have my own business one day. I didn't know how that looked. I never started a business. I didn't have money to start a business. And just to see where I am now compared to where I was then is again, it's just showing that it's more than possible, right? And it's so rewarding, man. Everything that I got now to this day come from either construction or real estate. And so I'm just so proud of that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. 5 years apprenticeship, right? So then you started pivoting, helping out with the family, odd end jobs here and there. What was the span of time that it took you to finally take that leap of faith and actually jump in and do a full project by yourself, like a full home by yourself, or as the lead contractor?
It wasn't long, man. Like, I hear people say, again, a lot of the stuff is coming to the surface now, but I hear a lot of people say now, just go, right? You're not gonna have everything figured out. I can kind of name a couple of jobs to you. I did a hardwood floor. I did a full basement remodel. And again, now that I'm looking back, I just got really resourceful, right? I didn't know everything then. I had no clue on what I was really doing, but I was pulling people in that I knew that knew a little bit more than me, and I was just breaking bread with them. And I was okay with taking, a little bit here and there, just for the better good of the project and get the project done. And so, to all the listeners and viewers out there, man, when you're looking to do something, you're not gonna have everything lined up. I think you take the little bit that and then just get started, and then you can figure out the rest on the go.
Man, that's dope.
I want to add something a little bit more to that, right? Like, you closed the sale, right? Like, you identified, hey, I took on this project to redo a basement. I may not know the entire ins and outs, but I'd rather break bread with others, reduce my profit as an individual, but know that the sale is closed and I'm gonna have a satisfied client, which then potentially is now a word of mouth referral for somebody else, right? Oftentimes people want to be stovepiping, like, I want to keep the profit to myself and try to do it all themselves. And then they end up fumbling the bag long term, right? Keep the end in mind as you're grinding now, right? That's why I took away from that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even know how I got that job. I mean, looking now, I'm like, I would have never hired myself. But I think that I think it was coupled with a few things. I mean, they seen the hunger in me. They seen that I did know a little bit what I was talking about, and I did come as a referral. On top of the fact that they had a need, right? They didn't want to pay a bunch of money for work getting done. I mean, I'm looking at now, what should have been charged then was a fraction of what they paid, and so they was looking to get something done cheap. I was looking for the work, and it just was a good timing. That's all.
Okay. So full basement, right? When was the first time? So this is still you doing clientele stuff. When did you jump into it being something solely for yourself? Like, I'm going to create this or renovate this property and then sell it as a investor.
Oh, that's way down the line. I mean, I didn't even start my business officially until I moved to Atlanta. And I think Atlanta was one of the places that it kind of just forced my hand, right? I mean, coming down here from the north is the south, right? And so things are very, very different, and they looked at things different. So when I first got down here, the good thing about being in a union is that you can transfer your what they call your book, right? Your paperwork. You can transfer from union to union, from city to city. And so when I first got down here, they didn't have any work for me at all, and so that was one of my first businesses. I had, I just figured it out. I had a Suburban at the time, and I was just posting on Craigslist, man, just trying to get some work, and I was moving people's stuff, and so in 2014, I moved down here in 2009, and in 2014, I officially started my company. After I had worked for a little bit, saved up some money, and then I had some contacts already. And then I just took a leap of faith, man. I had about 30,000 saved up, which I thought was a lot of money at the time, and it really wasn't. That didn't last me but 6 months, and then I just hit the ground running, man. I once I blew through that 30,000, I had a couple people clientele, and I just decided to be like, look, I'm out here, ain't no turning back, and that was 11 years ago,
man. That's definitely what made you jump ship to Atlanta from Philadelphia. Like, what was that? You just heard of the
Well, I went
environment,
from
not the
Philly to
environment, but
Chicago, and then from Chicago to here. But just in those
yeah, you
environments,
just said,
I had daughters. I was, I was hell bent on not raising them in that environment. I was tired of those environments, and I just needed to get away and get focused on myself. And I always tell people to this day, man, Atlanta was the best move that I made for me and my family. But I actually, matter of fact, let me back it up a little bit. I actually moved to Florida first for a year. I hated it. It just, and I moved there at the height of the recession. So if you know anything about the recession, Florida was one of the hardest hits. And so for our industry, it was really nothing moving. I came from Chicago making $25 an hour. When I got to Orlando, I think they barely want to even pay me 15. But I was my skill level was way, way more advanced than a lot of people down there. So they did give me top dollar, quote unquote, at the time, but it still wasn't enough for me. And so I wasn't even down there a year, man. I broke my lease and said, look, I got to get out of here. And Atlanta just was the spot. I was like, I'm not going back to Philly. I'm not going back to Chicago. But first of all, I ain't have much money to even travel that far. And I was just like, look, I still want to be somewhere where it's hot. And Atlanta was the spot, man. It was 6 hours away, and I was like, look, I'm there. I had a cousin here at the time. I started looking into some different resources, and it just happened.
man. Okay, all right. So I think we were speaking about like where you at now. We fast forward to you already broken ground. You started doing like the rehabs in the basements. You were talking about how like you didn't know what you were doing, but you didn't let the client know that. You was resourceful and found other people that could help assist you in renovating a home. And then of course it just built up from there, just one block at a time. And now you're into the commercial space. So talk to people about that. What's the feeling like, right? What is the strategies you used, right? Like the step by, because everybody looks at the glam, but they don't look at all the work that was done, right? You've been doing this for over like decades. You've been doing several, like, I don't know, 10, 30, however many properties, right? To have the stepping stone to then be able to jump into the commercial space. So kind of talk to people about that. How does that feel to say that, hey, I'm going from residential to now I'm in the commercial space?
Well, for one, it feels amazing, right? And I do want to make it clear. I've always been into commercial space when it came to the construction part of it, right? I was just working for somebody at the time. And even then I was like, man, I got to get out of this commercial space because I really want to learn carpentry. But now, being more mature and being older and being, going through the ranks, I understood that that's what a true value is. The real money is in commercial, right? And so, it to be honest, the answer to go back to your question, it feels amazing, man. It feels amazing. But as you guys know, as fellow entrepreneurs and other careers yourself, it just you don't have time to stop and smell the roses sometimes, right? You just going from one thing to the next. And sometimes you gotta look up and be like, man, wow, I did this, right? Or just other people around you saying, hey, wow, man, you did this, and how did you do this? But for me, I don't even have time to stop. I just keep grinding, man. But it feels amazing, right? And the things that I've talked about doing or wanting to do and always dreamed about doing that I'm actually doing now. And my top goal is to, one day just have one of those cranes in the sky. And so I'm just continuing to push, man. The thing is, I heard you ask another question, just how did you get started and like, how did you continue to build those blocks? And one of the biggest keys that people need to really understand is that I always say, man, you got to use what you have. We so worried about what we don't have, but we got to sometimes use what we have in front of us. And so how I built my business originally is I had very little money for, big time marketing at the time. And so just, kind of, relative to social media right now, right? Social media is free. And so that's free marketing. I mean, they got paid stuff and stuff that you could do now. But at the time, how I built my construction business when I got to Atlanta is I used Craigslist. All the, they used to have something called, and they still do have the AJC. That's a local newspaper here in Atlanta, but they had a website they had a platform on the site at the time. And I used all those platforms to just continue and push my business. And then my biggest thing is when I did get those clients and get those opportunities, I made the most out of them. So when somebody gave me a shot, I just, most of it come natural, right? It's just who you are, what your makeup is. And so I'm a thorough person anyway. And I just translated that to business. And my name just, it kept growing. I kept getting referrals. I kept plugging away as I'm getting those referrals. I kept building. And, same now. And so kind of fast forward to what I do now. We kind of, I took all that experience and just coupled it to what I have and what I got going on right now. To be honest, we haven't even talked about that, but I'm gonna bring it up because really my biggest accomplishment for me is a couple years ago, we actually broke ground on our first subdivision. It's a 29 home subdivision in Douglasville, Georgia. And that has taught me a whole lot.
Can we get some fire for that?
Come on, man. Let's go, man.
Hey, matter of fact, no, you know what? You just talked about how you so much on the grind, you don't even stop and smell the roses. So we're gonna pause real quick, take a hot 2 seconds, and give you accolades, man. Do it like
let's get to him. Let's get to him.
What up? Give it up. Give it up.
I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
That's
big.
Hey,
man.
one more thing.
To be a young black developer, right? 29 houses subdivision, to come from Philly, to come from south side of Chicago, right? To move your family to Florida. Orlando didn't work out. Then you moved to Atlanta, Georgia, right? And I want people to understand something, man. This stuff don't happen overnight, right? The 29 house subdivision.
It doesn't.
The commercial, the smooth stuff doesn't happen overnight, right? Because Dre talked about some of his struggles early on, right? He talked about when he was working and not getting paid. When it was in, when he was learning the game, not even getting paid. And then I think you said like $14 an hour, right? When you started the internship, the apprenticeship, right? $14 an hour, right?
Apprenticeship, yeah.
And so for those of you that's watching it, we want you to understand something, right? Like, do not despise small beginnings. Don't despise it. Things may not be jumping off the way you wanted to jump off right now, but stay consistent. Stay consistent. What advice do you have for those watching and they want to get involved? They're like, hey, I want to get involved in real estate. I want to get involved in construction. What are the simple steps you got for them?
The biggest advice is whatever it is you want to do, you need to surround yourself with people that's doing it for real. And then again, like we talked about the other night, if it is construction or real estate, you got to get your hands dirty. Like, not necessarily physical, but you got to get in there and get to work and figure it out. You got to do the boring stuff like crunch the numbers and run those scenarios and analyze these deals. That's the boring stuff, but that's going to make or break your deal. And if it's not construction or real estate, again, just surround yourself with people that's doing what you want to do, right? Make yourself very resourceful. And when you go to these people and you need help, you need to really add value versus looking to take value. Because, it's like one of those things. It's better to give than receive, right? And so you have to always look to bring it to a situation, bring value. Whatever it is that you can bring of value. And the more people you help, the more you'll get what you want. So I will say that. And then the second thing is just being consistent and persistent, right? Consistency is the key. Don't worry about how it looks. Don't worry about how it feels right now. Just get up every day and keep showing up. That's really it, man. Yeah. It's almost an inevitable what you asking for, what you dreaming about, you'll get. You just gotta stay consistent.
Yeah.
Hey, so you said that you read books, or you read books a lot. What's your top 3 books that you think that, just from a general, because we have different listeners from different, so I don't want to be specific just to real estate, and it's not going to apply to other people. So from a broad entrepreneurship, just the mindset that you have to grind, be persistent, consistent, what books do you recommend for people to read to be able to help assist them in their focus, their mindset shift? That's really all it is your mindset shifting to adapt and overcome consistently.
Oh, I'm trying to think of some books off the top of my head that's not cliche, because there's a lot of books. But I will say Think and Grow Rich for sure.
Yeah,
The Black
I was
Wealth
definitely
Choice by
thinking about
Dennis
that.
Kimbrough.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So for sure that you know what? The Alchemist is dope. I like The Alchemist. The Alchemist is it tells a story about a journey of a man. And so check it out. I can't remember the author right now, but The Alchemist is pretty dope. The next book I read, well, I can't say the next book. I read plenty. You know what, man? I would say a good self-help book. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but it's called The 4 Agreements.
The 4, what is it?
The 4 Agreements. And they got The 4 Agreements. You've heard of it?
I haven't heard of that.
4 Agreements.
Good book, man. Good book. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's all about self-discipline, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's the key.
I'm reading Inner Excellence right now.
Go ahead.
Inner Excellence.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of that
one. Yeah, that's dope. Now, Rich Dad Poor Dad is a book I always recommend. I don't care what field you're in. I think Rich Dad Poor Dad.
I was gonna say that, but I was trying to get away from the cliches.
Yeah. I think that one and Cash Flow Quadrant. Like, if you're gonna be in business, I think Cash Flow Quadrant. You got to read Rich Dad Poor Dad first, though. But you got to read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Then you got to go to Cash Flow Quadrant. Because that's going to help you understand the importance of being on the right side of the quadrant. I think those are 2 books. And then, of course, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Man, a little small book. You got to read it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think hands down, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
I think Think and Grow Rich is hands down. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then, of course,
because it breaks it down to so many
definitely one of the top books.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tell our Forte, what's your 1 to 5 year goals? What do you envision? Matter of fact, I mean 1, because I think your dream's so big. I want to hear your 5 to 10 year goals. What's your 5 to 10 year goals?
My 5 to 10 year goals is I really want to I want to do more affordable housing projects, and I want to do it on a mass scale. So again, I want to do in the next 5 years, I would say I want to be able to have at least 50 doors, right? Affordable housing projects, and then the 10-year goal is to eventually I want to do a live, work, play sustainable neighborhood and make it all affordable.
What is that? I don't. All right, break that down. Live, work, play, sustain. I know what those words mean separately. When you put them together, what does that mean?
I think that when you talk affordable, it's like we think that we got to dumb down where somebody lives, right? And the people that can't afford these, just call it $1 million properties or this super expensive rent, still want to have the luxuries that the rich people have, right? And I'm not calling the people that live in these affordable housing poor at all. But they could be everyday working people. They could be cops and teachers and firemen and all this, because they don't fit in those $1 million brackets, right? Unless they making certain type of investments. But live work play is like almost like a mixed use project, right? So you got commercial. Just take like Dom, you here, so you know about Atlantic Station, but something like that. You take somewhere where they can eat, they can shop, they can go to the movies, they can go to the gym, they can live there, and then everything is into one, where you really don't even have to have a car unless you just want to go outside and do some other things. But typically those projects are not, they are for market properties. They're not affordable at all. And there's a lot of different reasons as to why. That's a whole different conversation, but that's typically what it means.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I learned something. All right.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, y'all. We want to say thank you to Andre for joining us, man. Brother, how can people get in contact with you for people that want to reach you, that want your services? They want, hey man, they got a project or whatever, man. Someone just want to reach out to you. How can they get in contact with you? Whatever information you want to share.
Or they may want a partner. Maybe they have some money they're trying to invest.
You can reach me on Instagram at the number 2_fly_2B real estate. So 2fly2B real estate. And it's funny how I came up with that name. So that's my Instagram. You can reach me on other platforms, Facebook. My website is a-squared SQUARED Reno RENO.com. I got a contact form on there you can get through if you want projects. And you can reach me at my email, same thing, Andre at a-squaredreno.com. That's ANDRE at a-squared SQUARED Reno.com.
That's dope.
Got it.
That's dope.
Got it.
That's dope.
Andre, thanks for coming on and sharing your story, sharing your vision, sharing your mindset with the Fortes.
Y'all comment
and
below.
I appreciate
what did
being
y'all
here.
get out of this? Because this was dope. This was dope.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Dre, I'm gonna catch y'all on that Stone Mountain, man. One of these days, I'm gonna catch y'all on that Stone Mountain.
Yes, for sure, man. Let's link. Let's do it, brother.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, y'all have a good night.
All right, no doubt.
All right.
Man, brother.
Man, this is good. This is good, man. Like,
yeah, this is dope.
Persistent
man.
and consistent. Consistent may be the title of this episode.
Yeah, man.
I think that's the title episode. Yeah. Editors, when you watch this and you're editing, persistent, consistent is the name of this episode.
Yeah. To just to hear his story, man. Like, hey, brother started from the bottom. I know people say that, right? But started from the bottom. You know what I mean? Make some poor decisions early on in life, right? Make some poor decisions, and that poor decision had him a little small stint in jail. But an opportunity came while he was in jail to say, hey, who wants to learn carpentry, right? He raised his hand, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Now he's building for smooth.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
That was exclusive. Breaking news on Forte.
Exclusive.